was wondering, guitar player like yourself, with the kind of chops you have, can you really, is the rockabilly format enough for you to display all your talents, or do you find yourself getting frustrated, boxed in?
No, I find not at all, because, I mean, it's just me up there. I can do anything I want. This is the kind of music that I choose to portray my guitar playing. And I think even recently I've been experimenting more and more and using different effects sparingly. And I find it the most open, palette for me,
Your first solo album seemed like it had a much more serious flavor to it. Can we assume that that's the real you?
No, that's the that's when I was Brian Setzer going through a phase that he didn't know who he was. I was trying to be a million things. I didn't know what. This is the real me. Although there were some good songs on that record, I listen back to it, and I think there's some great guitar playing on it, but I don't feel comfortable with the things I was saying. It wasn't really me.
Is that right? You're trying to say something too bold, trying to overstep yourself?
I don't really know. I just didn't feel. I went on tour with it, and I didn't feel comfortable playing that sort of stuff. I mean, I didn't get up there and sweat and get people screaming and yelling. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to have fun and play guitar, and I just trying to put in the words. It just wasn't a very good time period of my life. I don't think I really. I think it was kind of what other people might want to say rather than what I want to say.
This is a question based on hypothesis. Let's say some people assert that rock and roll should be a vivid representation of the times. They might criticize your band as being, something from the past, out of step with the times. Has that kind of criticism ever made its way to the band? That you're out of step with the times?
Yes, but I don't quite know what it means, because I don't consider. I don't consider blues, or I don't consider jazz to be 20s music. I don't consider blues to be 40s music. I just real rock and roll rockabilly music was invented in the 50s, absolutely. And the 50s period is where I base myself from. That's the base, and then I bring it out from there. Absolutely. But I mean, I don't think many people wore their hair like this in '56. I just base myself from that time period of guitar playing, more or less. That's where I like to base myself, and then take it from there.
This is kind of a tough question. He says, you do a couple of Eddie Cochran tunes on stage.
Well, yeah, they always change.
Yeah, but he was saying, back then that was very contemporary at the time, of course. How about your music now? What makes it contemporary?
Well, I think we're taking, like with the next album we'll be doing, we'll be using Nile Rodgers producing. And I think we're the only thing that is a remnant of the 1950s is the stand-up bass and the Gretsch guitar. And everything else, we're going to keep the Stray Cat sound by using that, and use all sorts of different things to make it modern. We're going to have, different instruments behind us, and maybe a synthesizer track behind us, but it'll still be us playing. So that's what I think makes it modern, and it's still that art form of rockabilly music, which I can't explain, why it does so much for me. It's like you look at a beautiful woman, and why is she so special to you? It just is. Do
you feel this is going to overlap with the first question, but you're obviously more comfortable with the rockabilly format rather than when you said that when you were solo you didn't quite know what you wanted to do. So I guess you.
Well, the first album I didn't. The second album was getting more into a rock and roll thing.
You prefer
Yeah,
the rock?
I don't see the big deal. I mean, Poison and Warrant play 70s rock and roll. I mean, they've got long hair down here, they wear makeup. Nobody calls it 70s rock and roll. And they all sound the same. There's 1,000 bands like that. And they're playing some bullshit hybrid heavy metal music. That's the same old crap. So if we want to do rockabilly, I don't see what the big problem is. People love it, I love it, and I'm the best rockabilly guitarist in the world. And there's not many people that can make that claim as to being the best in something. So I feel when you do something the best, that you should stick with that route, and you should expand from there. You know?
Are you very familiar with other people who do rockabilly stuff?
There's a lot of rockabilly bands, you know.
Is that right?
Thousands.
Where?
Well, most of them don't have major deals. It's mostly an underground thing.
Uh-huh.
But most of the good rockabilly bands now come from Europe. There's some great ones we heard some great ones in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's huge. I mean, I get stacks of underground magazines. It's an underground thing, pretty much. I mean, it's not as popular as, you know, it's not on the surface like Paula Abdul and Warrant and Poison and all those bands, but it's a very popular art form.
Why do you think you guys stand head and shoulders above the pack?
Well, I don't think the other bands have done enough to make it really modern music. I don't think the other bands can really play that well. You know, they get the look going and they just kind of bash it out. They call it psychobilly, you know, but I mean, we're all really good musicians, you know. I mean, and I just think that there's not enough originality in that sort of genre from these bands.
Huh.
You know, there's definitely not in the heavy metal category, but for some reason, you know, that's what 14-year-old girls like. You know, they want to buy Bon Jovi records and all the you know, lookalikes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the way it is. You know,
They like formulas.
yeah, they like that formula for some reason. You know, our formula I think is more it's more of a hardcore thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it'll always be an underground thing, like punk. You know.
I guess in your case, though, you guys never really fall into that sort of formula syndrome, but maybe that's what keeps you fresh and popular.
I try to make it not sound like, you know, just 1-4-5 blues stuff, but I mean, to me it was always the most exciting music in the world. You know, for me, blues is just like, I love the blues, but you can't dance to it, you know. The rockabilly had it all. It was aggressive, it was original, you could dance to it, it had a look, it was young, it was exciting, it had everything going for it, you know. It wasn't, I don't know. Don't know why.
Yeah, rockabilly is an easy one.
It's pretty amazing how you can translate that. I don't get a word.
Did you always have the tattoos and the hairdo before you guys formed the band?
Yeah, well, about the same time. I got my first tattoo when I was about 16. Before that, I was painting them on my arms. I just always wanted them. That goes a little beyond the rock and roll thing. That's an artistic thing, I think, that I'd have, you know. But it goes hand in hand with it.
You're from New York, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My first tattoo I got in the loft on 33rd and 3rd.
Uh-huh.
We cut high school. But we started to do it about the same time, yeah.
Wait, so you and your friends were getting tattoos?
Me and Jim, the drummer of the band.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But we would go out even before we could get tattoos. We were like 14. We always wanted. We would paint them on our arms. Get them.
It's just your lifestyle. This is not part of the act or anything. This is who you are.
Right. This is the lifestyle. This is the way I feel comfortable. You know.
Uh-huh.
I don't feel comfortable. You know. I don't know. I don't know. The lead singer from a heavy metal band. I don't feel comfortable with, you know, long hair and eye makeup and scarves, and you know, I feel comfortable looking like this. I don't know. Yes, that's my lifestyle.
Is that the guys from the neighborhood like? Where you come from?
Well, where I come from, you had to have a baloney in your pants, you know, and you had, you know, it was Spinal Tap, and yeah, I just never felt comfortable with that. I liked basing myself with the rebellion and the look of the 50s, but with the attitude of punk music, you know. That's how I felt comfortable, yeah.
This may be a tough one to answer again, but why was the 50s look, the rebel look, the most attractive to you? In more specific terms, why does that appeal to you?
Well, I guess because it's kind of like you don't have to look like a girl to do it. I mean, it was kind of a masculine look, and that's what I associated with more than a feminine look. And at the time I was growing up, glam rock seemed to be the biggest thing, and there was nothing else to associate with at the time. It was just long hair and like flowing capes. It was too effeminate for me. So I associated with that look and the attitude of the masculinity of it, And then when the punk thing came around, it was rock and roll again. So I associated with that musically. I thought if I could combine these two looks, I'd have something really special. The best time for things. They had the best cars in the 50s. I could fix the engines in the 50s cars. You could go out and buy a beautiful 59 Cadillac for $50 way back when. And it was just things that I could relate to more than I could relate to the time around. I just couldn't relate. I still can't relate to a lot of the things, I can't relate to Neil Young singing about the homeless when he owns half of Marin County in San Francisco. I can't relate to that. Well, how does he have the nerve to sing about homeless people when he has millions and millions of dollars living in the lap of luxury? I can't figure that out. If you want to help someone, I don't know how much you can do it through your songs. My uncle's a missionary priest in Nicaragua, and he's helping people in the village, feeding them. That's helping homeless people. But I don't think you can help homeless people by owning half of San Francisco and preaching about it. So again, I can't get on with that philosophy. It doesn't ring true. I think it's phony.
Do you think there was more truthfulness back in?
Well, I think my lyrics are more like the lyrics of a contemporary band like the Rolling Stones or something. It's more about emotional issues and relationships and things that turn you on and things that turn you off, rather than preaching about helping certain people. I don't think it belongs in rock and roll, because rock and roll people don't live that kind of life. They're not out there hand to hand helping homeless people. I just think it's funny when Sting goes down to the rainforest and puts on his tribal makeup, and then he goes back to his suite, his penthouse, in Colombia. It's just and then they find out that the fence around his house is made from rare South American trees. It's just phony. It's just not true.
So the guys you're talking about, they tend to be treated more as sort of the heroes.
I know. So maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think you're answering the question, but you're saying, do you think you're getting the short end of the stick from the media because you're probably dismissed as compared to those guys, maybe they think of you as more of a lightweight,
Only in America. Only in America. In England, we play the same size places as those people do. We play 10,000-seat arenas in England, Germany, France, even Japan. They have more of an understanding for the music and the lifestyle. And in America, they don't. So I feel I'm getting the short end of the stick in America. I feel that people are easily led and they don't really question too much.
Well, why do you think that's the case in America?
I don't know. I can't figure it out. I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Could it be that in foreign countries they value these more traditional American music forms?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They understand it a lot more. I don't know, I just talked to an English guy or a German guy, and they relate more to me. I don't relate as much to Americans. They don't quite understand. We don't connect. It's the way it is. Yeah.
Well, obviously, as an American, we see you as like a next-door neighbor. The guys in Europe or Japan, they see you as more like a museum piece.
No, they don't. They're one of us.
You think they appreciate you more for who you are?
Oh, absolutely. They know exactly what they ask me what I'm doing on the guitar, and they know they hear Charlie Christian in my guitar playing. In America, they don't know who Charlie Christian is. They're talking about Van Halen. They are more knowledgeable.
Yeah. Well, I guess you appeal to the connoisseurs then.
I don't know. I just don't know anymore. I just do what I do, and I'm happy with that. That's why we hardly tour America.
How many tour America?
Well, yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I would love to have a hit record again. You know, I don't think it's out of grasp. I mean, you know, I'm skinny. I have a full head of hair. I'm not 55 years old and over the hill. You know, I think it's within reason. You know, I would love to be popular in America, but if not, I mean, I'm perfectly content. I lived most of my life in Europe anyway. I lived three quarters of the year in Europe. So
is that mean touring, or is that actually just living?
Touring and living, yeah. Let's wrap it up with this. If I'm missing something, there's going to be 2,000 people there tonight that are missing it, and 2,000 people outside that can't get in who are missing something too. So if I'm missing something, I'm not the only one.
Wait.
Well, I mean, if I'm doing something that's out
of sync with the time,
out of sync or something, there's millions of people that are out of sync with me. So
no, it wasn't an accusation on his part.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm trying to say is it's not that there's just a handful of small people that like this sort of music and this lifestyle. There's millions of them. So I feel like I'm doing something good.
Well, we recognize it.
Okay.
And we laud you for it.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian, this takes us back a couple of steps here, but he was wondering why did you step off track with that solo project in the first place?
I just got tired of playing with Jim and Lee. We had grown apart as friends, you know. We didn't really hang out together anymore, and I kind of lost track of what I really liked to do. And I was very young, 22 years old. And I listened to a lot of other people telling me, you should be by yourself. You don't need Jim and Lee. And I lived in New York, and they lived in California, and we drifted apart. And in the interim, I made a couple of solo records. And in that time period, too, I wanted to try playing different guitars and using different things, and I realized that really the way I played best and what I like to do best is to play my Gretsch guitar through a Fender amp, And
that was the second part of the question. Is when did you realize that was your real style? That was
kind of when I started making the second album. I realized, boy, I really miss playing, rock and roll, rockabilly music, And I started to do it again, like on live nude guitars on my second album. That's pretty rock and roll. That's pretty much what I started to get back into. But it wasn't as good without Jim and Lee. I couldn't find guys to play it as good. Nowhere near as good,
Was Dave Edmunds who first gave you the name Stray Cats? No?
No, we thought it up.
Oh, you thought it, but you want to know what kind of relationship you had with Dave Edmunds. How you get to know him.
We got to know Dave because we met him in England. And he was one of my guitar heroes. And we wanted to make, a modern sounding record. And Dave we just became friends. And he was the perfect choice to produce the Stray Cats because he was familiar with all the original rock and roll tricks and sounds and echoes and studio things. Yet he was going to make a modern record for us, So he was the one we wanted to use.
So, Josh, I see.
Really, I think it was kind of what other people might want to say rather than what I want to say,
This is a question based on a hypothesis. Let's say some people assert that rock and roll should be a vivid representation of the times. They might criticize your band as being, something from the past, out of step with the times. Has that kind of criticism ever made its way to the band? That you're out of step with the times?
Yes, but I don't quite know what it means because, I don't consider...
He's wondering, a guitar player like yourself, with the kind of chops you have, can you really, is the rockabilly format enough for you to display all your talents, or do you find yourself getting frustrated, boxed in?
No, I find not at all, because, it's just me up there. I can do anything I want. This is the kind of music that I choose to portray my guitar playing. And I think even recently, I've been experimenting more and more and using different effects sparingly. You know, I don't consider blues, or I don't consider jazz to be 20s music. You know, I don't consider blues to be 40s music. You know, real rock and roll rockabilly music was invented in the 50s, absolutely. And the 50s period is where I base myself from. That's the base, and then I bring it out from there. You know, absolutely. But I mean, I don't think many people wore their hair like this in '56. You know, I just base myself from that time period of guitar playing, more or less. That's where I like to base myself, and then take it from there. You know. I listen back to it, and I think there's some great guitar playing on it, but I don't feel comfortable with the things I was saying. It wasn't really me.
Is that right? You're trying to say something too bold, trying to overstep yourself?
I don't really know. I just didn't feel. I went on tour with it, and I didn't feel comfortable playing that sort of stuff. I mean, I didn't get up there and sweat and get people screaming and yelling. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to have fun and play guitar, and I just trying to put in the words. It just wasn't a very good time period of my life. You know, I don't think I really. And I find it the most open, palette for me. You know.
Your first solo album seemed like it had a much more serious flavor to it. Can we assume that that's the real you?
No. That's when I was Brian Setzer going through a phase that he didn't know who he was. I was trying to be a million things I didn't know what. You know, this is the real me. Although there were some good songs on that record,